With its conceptual looks and renowned reliability, this is the 2020 Lexus LC500. Now, what Lexus has done is, with their new reiteration of their front end grille, have actually made this car simply gorgeous. And an added bonus is that this car here, stock standard, comes with 21-inch rims. Do not discount this car, it's got HREs. Another cool factor is you put your finger here on the door handle opens up, the Lexus symbol comes out. It is so slimline. And another cool feature is the deployable spoiler. Flick off a switch, this spoiler comes up and it looks divine. Then we've got the dual tailpipe exhausts here that exit the most bellowing V8 sound produced by Lexus to date. This is a car that sounds spectacular. They did it with the LFA, a V10, and they did it now again. Now Lexus have given us a concept car that everybody said, you're not going to be producing this and it's not going to look the same. But guess what? Here it is, and it looks exactly like the concept car that they showed us and we all fell in love with. But now it's time to jump in, put this to the test, take it onto the tarmac and see how well it drives. So this is it, the Lexus LC500, 471 horsepower, 389 pound-feet of torque, and this thing is heavy. It weighs 4,075 pounds. That is heavy for a sports car. But in my opinion, what this car is a 2+2. So it's more of a tourer. You could say a grand tourer, which a lot of cars are now phasing out those models because, as we know, they haven't been so successful. You could look at the 6 Series BMW, and there's a few other examples that come to mind. But this particular car here is very luxurious. It is a fine automobile to sit in. There's a few touches that I like about this car. In particular, the interior is completely wrapped with leather. One thing that I do dislike is the analog clock on the center dash. Everything else is digital, everything looks so slimline, but that clock just stands out and I don't like it. So Lexus should change it and update it and give us something more electronic. Another thing is that this gear lever here, or the knob you could say, seems more of something that came out of a Supra or another model of Toyota. So, but everything else doesn't seem like it's shared amongst the Toyota or Lexus range. The buttons are so nice to touch. They are all metal, so they're so precise and they're so tight. There is no fibbly or flimsy little bits and pieces on this car whatsoever, which is another great aspect about it. One thing is for sure, it does have a big LCD display here on the screen, but a lot of people don't like this touchpad. So when you use the touchpad, they say that it's a little laggy, a little slow. I don't find that in my case. I've used it and I think it's kind of easy to use and kind of straightforward. Some people do like touchscreens, but touchscreens have been phased out because, as you know, everybody now has screens that are so far into the dash, like this particular car, that there's no other way of touching it. So you're not going to be touching the screen here and leaning over. So you really need a little joypad or touchpad here, which makes it so easy to use. One thing's for sure, it has a sweet sounding 5-litre V8. You can put your foot down and the exhausts open up and it just flies. It's not the quickest by all means, but it's a V8. It's Lexus's sweeter sounding V8, apart from, say, the V10 LFA. Ooh, everybody loves that car. Sounds like a Formula 1 engine on the street. But this particular car here has enough get up and go, but not the quickest for people that want a car that's so much quicker. If you're used to an AMG now having sub 4 seconds 0 to 60. This here is 0 to 60 in 4.4 seconds, so definitely not the quickest, but it is a beautiful car and the engine feels so sweet. The throttle is placed in the right position, so is the footrest on your left, and the brake. Ergonomically, this car sits correct. So you're sitting in this car, and basically you've got enough visualization around the car. You can see everything around you. Blind spots are at the minimum, and as we know, Lexus always creates cars that are refined. And again, you put down your foot, there's a slight lag there, but it is a Lexus, and it's got a sweet downshift. I like that downshift, it's exciting. One thing that's fun with this car is when you change the settings on the LCD display, on the cluster, it moves, the tachometer moves to the right. That's so cool. I haven't seen that in another car except the LFA. But being a Lexus, as you can expect, everything is refined. So refined, in fact, that every car has their sport and function button to change the way the car drives, all on the steering wheel or center console. This particular car here has it up here on the top of your cluster, and when you change it, you've got comfort, normal, and sport. Then you've got Sport Plus. And every time you change it from sport, when you go to Sport S and then Sport Plus, the RPM becomes so pronounced that the white lines and red lines just pop out even more, and they take up more screen space. You can really hear that V8 when it opens up, and that throttle blip. It is still fun. It is a V8 car. It is a Lexus. So you know this is possibly the most reliable V8 on the planet right now. The most reliable 2+2. Don't quote me on that, but I believe it may be so because it is a Lexus. It is linked to Toyota. They are known for their reliability. We've got so much center console space here, so I can sit. There's a full-size adult up front with my armrest on the armrest, and the person next to me, a passenger, can sit there doing the same thing. When you put your foot down in that Sport S Plus, oh my gosh, the car does like to fly. It sure does. That sweet sounding V8. That is one thing that is not Lexus like. They've decided to give this car that refined sound. And you know what? I love it. It is so unique to this particular car here. And I love the way they can produce cars that sound so good. Look at the LFA. Look at this car here. The seats are lush, they're completely leather, very comfortable indeed. 10-way adjustable, electronic, and they've got these design patterns built into them, so they're perforated, and I like that. Time to put our foot down. Little wheel spin. That's quick, not too bad. 4.4 seconds, I believe it. It could be quicker. It would be a lot more fun if it was a sub 4 second V8, naturally aspirated. Steering is very light and very precise at the same time, which I like. It's a quality in a car that I like. And somehow Lexus this time round has managed to give us that sporty feel, which is fun, enticing. And for $100,000 US, is it worth it? Yes, in a way it is, but it's not an AMG, it's not a BMW M3 or M4. Quality of finishes in Lexus is impeccable. Like for instance, this door handle here is made out of aluminium, and it is so tight. Like, it's not flimsy at all. Most cars nowadays have flimsy buttons, they're all plastic, everything just creaks away in the cabin. But this car here, no creak, nothing whatsoever, no loose buttons, everything's made out of metal, aluminium in fact. The window switches are so cool. Everything just feels nice. It's nice to the touch. And that is what makes a car more fun to drive. As with most modern cars nowadays, everything is at an arm's reach away. So you've got the Aircon Controls that feel so great when you touch them. There you go. Yeah, they work. I haven't felt Aircon Controls like this in any other car. It's a Lexus. Like, it's just unbelievable how the Japs create cars that are high quality, where everybody, you know, denotes quality and relates that to European cars. Here now, you can relate it to a Lexus. Lexus have upped their game in terms of quality. Fit and finish is just so precise. It's spot on, actually. And it does handle like a sports car. It feels like a sports car when you're driving it. Which is what is lovely about this, that it gives you that sense of occasion. We can take it out on the weekends, drive it as a daily. One thing is for sure, the trunk space, it's not on par with anything else. There's not enough trunk space. And the 2 seats in the rear, good luck fitting an adult that's 6 foot tall. They're more for kids, or you can just use them for storage, seeing that it's got a lack of trunk space. But Lexus always managed to create a car that works, that's refined, and that wows the world with its very unique characteristics. It's very, very different from everything else that's out there. It just decides, they always decide to create a car that's just different. A car that works for any occasion, a car that is well balanced. And this is it. The LC500 is that well balanced sports car, daily commuter, and luxury car, all in one. One thing that I like about this interior as well, always a unique touch. Lexus have that attention to detail. They've got on the doors, there are no door locks, as in something that protrudes out of the door to show you that the door's locked. Instead, we've got an LED light that's just sitting there, and then we've got those little slots on the door cards, which are kind of cool, and that's Alcantara. And in this particular car, they're yellow, so they match the exterior. And everything else having that metal finish, where it's an actual solid metal button, a button that's made out of aluminium, a button that's made out of brushed aluminium, or stainless steel. Whatever it is, it works great, it looks good. It's a car that you can actually use, a car that actually works. A car that is actually a Lexus, a car that is actually a car, so you can drive it, it won't fall apart. A car that you know that will last you every day. And here we go. Put your foot down. And it sounds good. So gracious. That downshift as well. Let's put it in manual. Oh, you can hear that. Put your foot down again. Okay, gear changes going up with this 10-speed gearbox. They're kind of slow or sluggish in a way, so they're not like a dual clutch. But the throttle blips on the downshift, oh, that sounds good. Put your foot down. There's a slight delay in gear changes. If I flick this over to the M mode, let's try that. Okay, let's see if that quickens that a bit. Okay, downshift is good. Okay, upshift, I still do feel that delay. I don't think so many people notice it, but after driving the PDK in a Porsche, you can't compete. That thing there is just, it's different. But this is basically built to compete with the Porsche 911, as you could say. Here in the US, it's priced the same as a Carrera, pretty much. But to me, it's got the looks of an Aston Martin, so it looks as beautiful and as gorgeous. But it's got the practicality of the Porsche, but even more so. This would be a lot more practical. This will definitely last. This would be a lot more reliable, easier to use and get around in. And same as a Porsche, the 2+2 setup doesn't work for adults in the rear, only for kids, pretty much. And the lack of trunk space, this also has a boot that doesn't really work. You can't fit anything in that boot. but that downshift, that V8, glorious sounding, 471 horsepower, 398 pound-feet of torque, 0 to 60 in 4.4 seconds. Yeah, it could be quicker, and I would like it to be sub 4 seconds like AMGs and now the BMWs with the M3s and M4s, but you can't have everything. I guess as an all-rounder, it's a well-balanced sports car, cross coupe, luxurious automobile.